trying to get in, moving the
and he will speak to what's going on right now at the Capitol. And the other extraordinary thing we have to keep in mind, by law, they're going to have to finish this proceeding of the House and Senate at some point. There is nothing in the law as written, A, that outlines this, but B, that outlines when you can take breaks, for that matter.
You can go into recess.
Yeah.
When you said, Nora, about, I can't remember, an hour and a half ago, the president tweeted, it's going to be a wild one. What do you think that means? How do you think that's interpreted by the people who are on the Capitol steps? A wild one. That's suggesting to them that wildness is encouraged by the most powerful person in America, the President of the United States.
And so, John, when you incite it by suggesting weeks ago that it's going to be a wild one, can you just tweet it away? Can you just put all this stuff back in a bottle and expect it to disappear?
You know, you can't do that any more than you could during the rallies in 2015 and 2016 when the president would encourage his supporters to take care of, by physical force, those who showed up at his rallies and protested. This isn't just happening today. This is a long history of consistent behavior by the president, and so this comes in as the last ugly sentence in a long series of chapters.
National Guardsmen, and it is currently under review. No decision has been made. The concern, of course, is about any future confrontation.
Right.
Can this just quickly de-escalate without an image of what appeared to be, while they're National Guard, what some people may look and think is active duty, that sort of image would then create, not only domestically, but certainly by our foreign adversaries. And so the people in positions of great power that control the levers of national security are weighing this with the utmost seriousness. You now have Senator Ted Cruz, who helped unleash some of this and fuel some of this anger, now also tweeting out, calm down, time to end this, as has been pointed out. The question is whether these senators and others who hold the levers of power want to courageously step forward and move this towards an end.
To keep them back. That area is called the Crypt because it was originally designed to be the final resting place for George Washington before he decided that actually he would rather be laid to rest at his beloved Mount Vernon. But it is an area on the first floor of the Capitol, and I'm just speculating here, but it's likely that police were trying to keep the protesters out of this area because there are spaces in the bowels of the Capitol where lawmakers can be taken to be kept safe. And police probably didn't want these protesters getting any closer to the basement of the Capitol than they already were.
Nancy, those were photos from inside the House chamber as you were speaking there, in case anyone's curious about where exactly that was taken. Those were there. You go.
This here, yeah, before it was the Crypt.
That is, in essence, the front door of the House chamber itself. There are members. This was taken earlier. One of our colleagues reports from somebody that was in that chamber, and of course we talked to Zach Hudak earlier.
Yourself, why have you all run from the Capitol? Why not stay there and meet these people who believe the same way that you do? Why not meet them with courage?
I can't tell you where we are, and for out of safety for everybody else. But the one thing I will tell you is people can have a disagreement. We disagree every day when it comes to politics. People can have that. Not this. Nobody supports this. Nobody encourages this. Nobody wants this. I want to be very clear. I condemn any of this activity. This is not anything I support. This is not anything that I would be a part of, and this has got to stop.
Why, I just wonder, are there members of the leadership headed to the White House to try and move this process forward? We're at that point, as you know, Leader McCarthy, we're at that point where this is not only something that tears down at the fabric of our democracy, but will be used by our foreign adversaries. You say you want it to stop. What are you going to do now to make it stop?
At a conference, I think we all have to say we're not going to persist in the objection. We support the peaceful transfer of power, and we're done perpetuating this fiction that somehow Congress has the authority to overturn the results of the states.
Congressman, to what degree have you been communicated with by leadership about what will happen tonight? Will you reconvene? I've been told that it's possible that the House may reconvene, not in the chamber itself, but in the Ways and Means Committee room.
If that message came down, I missed it. I haven't gotten that. So, I've heard nothing formally from leadership right now. I would imagine they're trying to figure it out. And all the focus right now is just on making sure this thing doesn't escalate any further, making sure that the, now violent protesters disband, abide by the curfew. But I have not heard anything about when we're going to reconvene.
Do you believe it's necessary for Congress to send a message that it get back to business as soon as possible?
Yes, 100%.
The story of America is there, both in art and in architectural representation. And it's lit up for two reasons: to help law enforcement, but also to be a symbol to the country. It will endure. And those lawmakers want to get back to that enduring part of it, getting back to the work and not being intimidated, not being scared away by an angry, violent, and criminal mob, though be it small.
It is, I agree, the most beautiful building in Washington atop it sits Lady Liberty, a woman, the highest point in Washington, statue built by slaves. And now, today, we learned that the first black senator from the South will represent the South in a true changing of America.
Georgia, yes, from Georgia, yes.
It's funny, while we sit here, it seems so insignificant, but when the day began, it was quite significant. The Democrats won both those seats in Georgia. There is now Democratic.
Have we actually announced that we've called
yes,
it?
we have.
I know.
And we have it on the air.
No, but can we do that?
Major, I actually did ask a little while ago. We missed the boards, yes. That moment about just what happened, because this is just what we're witnessing live in the moment, we should say, but it is, that has eclipsed in some ways what is a significant shift of power. And that's why there was over $500 million spent on those two Senate races, because it controls the future of this country. Legislatively, it's the most very extremely powerful, which is why Congress, there was talk that, that Wall Street, that the markets would tank as a result if Democrats took control. They did not. But we are reporting at this hour, and had just a few hours ago, that the Democratic candidate for the Senate, John Ossoff, who is a 33-year-old documentary.
Difference of opinion. This is not what we do when we disagree.
The highest ranking Republican in the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, we thank you for your time condemning the violence and telling us that you have called the president and urged him to address the nation to end this now. We wish you. Thank you. I'm actually kind of emotionally moved by his comments, because it's like it's all come to this, it's,
and you can
hear
understand
who's been a stalwart
support
support
of the president.
Thank you. And,
he doesn't want to admit what is obviously true. What is obviously true is this did not happen just because.
Organically, as I said, it just.
Oh, it's January 6th, 2021. Let's storm the Capitol.
No one has ever cared about this date before, except in
the
1800s. And
it has been. We have been brought to this shabby moment of violence by some, storming the Capitol, taking its siege, trying to occupy it for a specific reason and in pursuit of a specific outcome.
When they're clearly in need of assistance there at the Capitol to keep this orderly, especially again as the sun begins to set over the Capitol.
There are a lot of angry people today who have felt someone stoke the feelings that they have, and have come now to the Capitol
We now have a joint statement from Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi.
Okay.
One sentence. We are calling on President Trump to demand that all protesters leave the U.S. Capitol and Capitol grounds immediately.
Okay. I'm now just hearing and getting from the Chief Pentagon spokesman that the D.C. Guard has been mobilized to provide support to federal law enforcement in the district. Acting Secretary Miller has been in contact with congressional leadership, and Secretary McCarthy has been working with the D.C. government. The law enforcement response will be led by the Department of Justice. Again, this fine line that we talked about earlier, as the Pentagon and military, expressed by the former 10 secretaries of defense, do not want this to be a military act, that this is a law enforcement act, and that's why the Justice Department is taking the lead.